We finished our tasking in support of Dominica yesterday and are now planning our redeployment. We're watching Tropical Storm Nate because many of the elements of the Joint Task Force will be returning to Honduras. At this point, I don't believe there will be an impact, but we're keeping our eyes open and trying to learn as much as we can. I'm speaking to you today from the French island of Martinique. The Joint Task Force Leeward Islands is currently positioned on 3 islands in the eastern Caribbean. The headquarters is here on Martinique. Our helicopters are north on another French island, Guadeloupe, and our remaining forces are positioned on the island of Dominica, the island that was most affected by Hurricane Maria. As our mission ended yesterday, we're pulling those forces from that island later on today. We've worked on several islands across the eastern islands of the Caribbean. In particular, we spent a good deal of time working on St. Martin, both the French and the Dutch sides, and then on Dominica. Hurricanes Irma and Maria devastated both islands. The damage is difficult to describe. When we arrived on St. Martin and later on Dominica, there was literally not one thing. The trees had been stripped of all the leaves and left for dead, many of them not. Many homes have been destroyed, turned into matchsticks. Roads piled with debris. On St. Martin, which is relatively flat, we saw boats pulled way out of the water, sitting well inshore, damaged in some cases beyond repair. On Dominica, roads and bridges were devastated, and the capital city took a direct hit. The damage is quite severe. Our Joint Task Force was activated shortly after Labor Day, and we've been operating now for many weeks. From that perspective, the multiple hurricanes have presented a challenge. Because our job required us to get close to the affected area, when we were responding from Irma, we ourselves were affected by Maria, spending the storm, many of us spent the storm on Puerto Rico. So I think frequency and intensity has been a challenge. I really think the greater challenge is moving to an affected area with just the right capability, integrating with our great partners from USAID OFTA, and really working with the people in a government that have taken a direct hit to get them back up on their feet. And while I call that a challenge, I also think it's important to recognize that that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the American people, for the U.S. government, and for the armed forces of the United States to help those in need. And as partners of our regional friends and allies, I think that's a great opportunity. So the way we interface with the local population is through our colleagues at USAID OFTA. They're really the humanitarian experts within the U.S. government. USAID OFTA is on the ground early with a DART. That team, and that's an acronym, the Disaster Assistance Response Team, gets on the ground early, interfaces with the government, the international community, national relief organizations, and non-governmental agencies to determine what area requires to ease suffering and speed recovery. From that, they determine what the civilian humanitarians can do, and they ought to be in the lead, what the local government can do, and then what only the military can provide. We then step in and provide those unique capabilities. When we do that, we interface closely with our colleagues at USAID, and we interface with the local government and the local people. I think the interface with the local people is what our soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines find most rewarding. You know, we've had interaction with a couple of U.S. media sources over the past several weeks. I recognize that it's been a very busy news time, both in the U.S. and internationally. We've also had some great interaction with our local and regional media friends. So I think that there's been adequate coverage. At the the same time, I've not been in the U.S. for a while, so it's tough for me to know exactly what sort of picture you're getting.
How long do you expect to be working on the storm recovery?
In fact, our last tasking came yesterday on the 5th of October. To be clear, we believe, and the U.S. government believes, that humanitarian efforts are best, both immediate response and long-term recovery, when they're led by the local government in conjunction with international, national, and non-governmental civilian organizations. We're here to provide only unique military capabilities when called upon by USAID. So I think that after yesterday, the period of immediate crisis has passed, and the civilians who ought to be in the lead are. Today we're taking an opportunity to pull our forces off of Dominica, and tomorrow we'll start redeploying our Marines, airmen, sailors, and soldiers back to their home stations. I recognize it's very, very difficult when you've been hit by a disaster like this. As I mentioned earlier, we weathered Hurricane Maria on Puerto Rico and understand the devastation that such an event brings. I want those people to know that their governments, the international community, and the U.S. government are working very hard to speed aid to them. And while patience is hard and perseverance difficult, I would ask them to be patient and persevere and help us on the way. It's been a great privilege to be a part of Task Force Leeward Islands. Our airmen, our sailors, our Marines and soldiers have performed superbly over many, many weeks at an intense pace. It really shows what the American people are capable of and what the young people